Oh, Gambit, you can't help but feel a little bad for it at this point. The estranged third child amongst Crucible and Strikes. I know this has been kind of a topic of discussion for a while now, but I feel like it's really time to do a little soul searching and ask ourselves, can Gambit really be saved at this point?
What have you done?
Now, I didn't get Heir Apparent last year, so in order to complete the quest to receive it, I had to get a healthy amount of machine gun kills in Gambit, which I did, and it prompted me to make this video. Gambit is one of the only activities in Destiny that can consistently induce a groan of disapproval from most any Guardian asked to play it. I know all of you, at least once or twice, have been going around completing your weekly pinnacles, looked at Gambit, and just skipped it for the week. Which is a shame, because the idea of Gambit is so interesting, essentially trying to mix PvE and PvP. And look, I'm gonna be totally honest with you, I like Gambit. I have had some of the most fun I've had in D2 right here in the Gambit playlist. Now, some of you may be thinking, Toad, that's so sad. But at least 3 of you understand where I'm coming from. I'll go ahead and come back to this a little later. For now, we need to talk about why Gambit is generally received so poorly. I think the first and most obvious reason is that Gambit is a mix of PvP and PvE, but it doesn't really do either one as well as, say, Crucible does PvP and Strikes do PvE. I know this seems obvious, but if I want to fight other Guardians, I'm just gonna go play Crucible. If I want to shoot aliens and experiment with builds, I'm gonna go to the Vanguard playlist. If I want my last Pinnacle drop for the week, fine, I'll play 3 games of Gambit. The gameplay and flow of Gambit just feels really strange, and I don't think it feels as smooth as Bungie may want it to feel. Another issue I see with Gambit is that as interesting of an idea as it is, it doesn't really do anything super new. The main gimmicks to Gambit are interesting, sure, but they're not that enjoyable. Also, we of course need to talk about the loot. This is something that I actually don't feel is that big of an issue. In terms of loot, Gambit has a similar selection to Vanguard and Crucible. The layout of the loot tables are almost identical, actually. I don't think that loot is the problem, because if the game mode was fun, we would play it anyway. How many people out there are playing Control to grind for a God Roll Survivor's Epitaph, or playing Vanguard Strikes over and over again for a God Roll Third Axiom? Yeah, I'm sure some people are, but that isn't why most people are playing these modes so regularly and without hesitation, which I'm sure most of us probably hesitate before clicking that launch button under Gambit. For some of us, the Pinnacle drop just isn't worth it. And let's be honest, when it comes to Destiny players, if the loot is desirable, you could tell us to do just about anything. So yeah, I'm sure if Bungie added triple rewards and XP to Gambit, you'd see a large uptick in players, but it wouldn't change the fact that the game mode just isn't very enjoyable. Anyway, I'm sure we all understand at this point that yeah, Gambit isn't in a great spot to say the least. But is it fixable, or is Gambit just, well, doomed? I don't want to see Gambit scrapped because the potential is there, but at this point I feel like Gambit would need a serious overhaul to rope players back in. Now, I do have a few ideas, but first I want to go ahead and elaborate on something that I said earlier. I meant it when I said that I had some serious fun in Gambit. A while back, when Gambit Prime was still a thing, my friends and I went through a serious Gambit phase. We were like the nerds playing D&D at recess, and let me tell you, that shit was a blast. It was like we all had our roles and armor to match. I was the sentry, my buddy Levi was the invader. I can't quite remember what the other 2 roles were called, but it really was awesome. We felt so cool, decked out in our individual Gambit armor, giving us additional perks and all. One time we matched another equally stacked team in Gambit Prime, and I'll never forget it. The opposing team would be mere seconds away from killing their primeval, only for Levi to invade with a golden gun and wipe them all out, regenerating its health. It felt like we were in the primeval phase for like 15 minutes because both teams were coordinated and giving it their all. However, that to me outlines Gambit's main problem. Unless you have a group of friends that are down to run some Gambit, as a solo player, it's just not fun. If I were given control of this game mode, I would look for ways to further set it apart from the other activities. I think leaning into the sabotaging aspects of the mode would be a nice way to do this. Humor me for a second. What if in a Gambit match you could scavenge around the map and maybe find things to help stall the enemy team or give your team a boost? For example, maybe killing a high value target has a chance to to drop an item that the Drifter deems valuable. Look, it's no secret that the Drifter likes to play dirty, so maybe you could transmat him this item you found, and in exchange he'll call down an orbital bombardment upon the enemy team to stall them out for a few seconds or send them into hiding. You could still have motes be the primary way of summoning your primeval, but maybe give more ways for the teams to try and sabotage each other, you know? I also think having a version of Gambit that has maybe 8-player teams on larger maps would really spice things up. Hell, maybe if you find a rare item or bank a ton of motes at a time, the Drifter would let you invade in a tank or a Drake. This would obviously be on a larger map with more players, but still, introducing more unique gameplay mechanics and playing into Gambit's strengths is, I feel, absolutely the way to go here. I also do feel like there's potential in giving players Gambit exclusive armor that emphasizes their role in the mode. They experimented with this back when Gambit Prime was introduced, but then sorta ditched it, which is too bad because I thought it was a really cool concept. Now, if I wasn't already reaching, then I definitely am now, but for teams that are passionate about Gambit, maybe give it a Trials of Osiris sort of playlist. This playlist could have its own set of rewards and maybe even a sort of flawless reward, like if you win 7 games in a row, you can take a trip up to the Drifter's ship, and he'll give you some of his own adept weapons. I only mention this because of how great of an experience Gambit can be with a team. It probably doesn't make enough sense to invest in it, but I had to mention it. Look, at the end of the day, I think the changes Gambit would need to become enjoyable to most people are simply too large. I feel like the game mode really would just need an overhaul. So, is it doomed? I don't want to say it is, but if we're being realistic, it ain't looking good. Look, I really want to see this game mode succeed, and I know others do as well. I guess at this point we're just gonna have to wait and see. I know that was a lot of talking, so if you made it to the end, I truly appreciate that, and if you liked this video, you may like my video on a Destiny Forge mode, or my video giving predictions for Lightfall. But as always, thanks for hanging out, and goodbye.